So what type of physics do you do?
Well, so my mainstream effort is the search for dark matter.
Okay.
So I work on the LZ dark matter experiment, which is deployed underground in South Dakota. It's the world's largest and best dark matter experiment. So I'm an astroparticle physicist.
Okay, can you explain what that dark matter experiment is and how it works?
Sure. So I should probably start by explaining what dark matter itself is. So it's a hypothetical form of matter that we are very, very sure exists because we have indirect evidence, observational evidence from astronomy, astrophysics, and cosmology, primarily through gravity. So we know there's more matter than we can see, and we know it's not made of the same particles, constituents as ordinary matter. And so one of the ways to look for dark matter is you actually you create particle detectors. You deploy them deep underground, because the idea is dark matter would pass through the Earth unimpeded, like neutrinos and similar particles, and interact with your detector. So in the LZ detector, we use a gigantic bucket, basically, or it's a thermos, actually. The formal term is cryostat, of liquid xenon. So xenon's a very good element because it produces light when external particles interact with it. And so you get flashes of light whenever you have external particles, external radiation interact with the xenon. So we have this deployed about almost a mile underground in South Dakota.
Wow. Are there any images of this we can see? Like that gives you like a good, how big is it?
Absolutely. So it's 10 ton scale liquid xenon detector. It's about, I'm a scientist, so I use meters. So just multiply by 3 for feet, or just pretend I'm saying yards. So it's like 1.5 meters high.
Is it similar to yards? Are meters and yards?
Yeah, extremely similar. So it's 1.5 meters tall by 1.5 meters wide, roughly. But that's inside of a water tank and several other layers of shielding, because we want to be sure if we have a detection that it's dark matter, not something else. So it has a lot of layers of shielding. So actually, we've got some images coming up right now.
Wow.
So you can see the diagram from Smithsonian there. There's a diagram of how it works right there. So a particle comes in, produces a flash of light, as well as loosens some electrons off of the atom. So we actually get 2 signals. First, a flash of light, primary flash of light in the liquid, and then a secondary flash of light up top from the electrons that got ripped out. So the time between the 2 signals gives us the depth of the event, and the hit pattern of the light gives us the radial position. So we have 3-dimensional position reconstruction of any incoming particles that interact with the detector.
And what does this tell you specifically about dark matter?
Well, we're looking for something extra beyond the ordinary particles that are going to constantly interact, like just gamma rays and just betas and radiation from the environment. So we're looking for something extra that is going to be above the constant noise of the regular, old school particles we know and love. So here's a picture of the actual experiment. It's actually made of, it's white because it's made of Teflon, because Teflon actually reflects ultraviolet light. And so that helps bounce the light into the photosensors at the top and the bottom. So we're hoping that a particle of dark matter comes in, bumps into an atom of xenon, and makes a flash of light that we can detect reproducibly.
How many particles of dark matter have you seen?
None.
None yet?
No, so when I say we're the world's best dark matter experiment, it's because we've measured 0 better than anybody else. So we actually, you would hear about it from the mainstream media if we had actually made a discovery. Because
this would be a front page material, huh?
Potentially, just like the gravitational waves discovery was with LIGO a few years ago. So it would be a big deal.
So dark matter is just a theory?
That word is misused. So in science, theory means fact. So the phrase just a theory is one of those things that raises my skin, because there's no such thing. So a theory in science means incontrovertible fact. The
theory?
Yes. When non-scientists use the word theory, they mean hypothesis. So dark matter is a very well-established theory in the sense that even though we don't have direct evidence, we have so many mountains of observational evidence that very few people doubt that there's something there.
Got it. So for now, it's just a hypothesis.
Yeah, well, it's kind of in a gray area towards theory because it's got so much indirect evidence in its favor. So it's sort of like people will refer to it as a dark matter theory. I prefer hypothesis because we don't have conclusive observation in the lab yet.
And don't we also have another hypothesis that dark matter has mass to it?
Oh, no, that's guaranteed.
Oh, that's guaranteed.
That's
that it
not
has mass.
separate. It has to have mass because otherwise it can't produce gravity.
And that was because when we observed galaxies, we noticed that the center of the galaxy has the same spin rate as the rim of the galaxy, meaning that there's like mass that's flattening the spin rate. Is that
No, not
close?
quite. Not
Okay.
quite. So at high radius, there's a flattening when there should be a dropping off. So, for example, take a Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune
Yeah.
is going to be orbiting the sun more slowly than the Earth. Okay, that's just a natural consequence of the law
it's
of
farther
gravity.
away.
Yes. However, what we see in galaxies is that the farther out you go, we didn't see that drop off. And that's been attempted to be explained without dark matter, without additional mass. There are theories of modified gravity, but the vast majority really don't work because they can't explain why, for example, you have galaxies apparently that we've discovered over the last several years that seem to be 100%, almost 100% dark matter and 0%. So that really implies that dark matter is stuff, and you can have more stuff and less stuff.
So the farther out you get into the galaxy, the stuff is spinning at the same speed as the stuff that's close to the galaxy.
Yeah, instead of dropping off, which would be natural.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So it builds up. So there's slow speeds at the center. Then it builds up because you've got more mass essentially underneath you effectively. And so the speed builds up, but there should be a peak and then a drop off. But we don't see that expected drop off that's predicted from both Newtonian mechanics as well as relativity.
And dark matter is just like theoretically all around us, and it's just the invisible stuff that we don't see because it's electromagnetically indetectable, right? Like, so dark matter would be all around us right now?
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
It's in this room. Well, it also depends on the number density. We don't know what the number density is. So dark matter, individual dark matter particles might be very rare. We think we know the average energy density, but we don't know like how many dark matter particles are there per unit volume necessarily. Academic freedom is a beautiful thing.
Sure.
So when you're funding, let's say your federal funding is cut.
Right.
You know what you can do?
I protested the war.
You can go find private donors. You can continue your work.
Right.
I'm not saying it's easy, but you can keep going.
Right.
And so that's what Kevin and I are doing is we're looking for private, donors to keep the UFO work going.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of the UFO stuff is funded by private institutions.
Well, there's no federal funding because, there's still so much stigma against
there's
the
a lot of
topic.
federal funding,
People
but it's
laugh.
just dark black budget.
Oh, yeah, of course, absolutely. But see, I want transparency and openness on this topic, which we sort of
which we'll never get.
Started sliding into.
You can want it all you want. We're never going to get it.
Of course we're not going to get it. Of course we're not. That's why people like me and Kevin are doing our own thing.
Right.
Without government funding, without their blessing, because we know it's hopeless to wait for disclosure. To tie this back to also, we talked a lot about my mainstream scientific effort, which until the current presidential administration was never controversial. Mainstream scientific effort was dark matter.
Yeah.
And that effort, one thing I forgot to say earlier is that dark matter we think makes up 25% of the universe, dark energy 75%. That leaves, and so of the 25% matter, about 20% is dark matter, about 5% is ordinary matter, roughly. Okay.
And what's the difference between dark matter and dark energy?
They're completely different.
Okay,
We just
gotcha.
share the word dark. But here's what's really interesting. We understand something like 4.6% of the universe. And this ties into everything we were talking about earlier, because how do we know this pie chart that I just told you? We know this based on the cosmic microwave background radiation that we were talking about earlier. So, and how do we know that's not wrong? Because earlier we were talking about, cosmic microwave background's wrong. There's this new paper. Here's how we know it's not wrong. Because we cross-checked the cosmic microwave background studies with supernovas, with what's called baryon acoustic oscillations, with a whole bunch of other things. So, but the bottom line is we understand about 4.6% of the universe. So, what does that mean? There's over 95% of the universe that we have no idea what it is. So my point earlier was like that this theory is correct or that. What I was trying to say is the little part we know it very well because we wouldn't have our modern technology without. We know that 4.6% very well. However, that doesn't mean there isn't a whole bunch more to discover. There is. Dark matter, dark energy, we don't know what those things are. But it's even worse than that. So of that 4.6%, 3/4 is hydrogen in stars, in galaxy. 1/4 is helium. See any problem with what I just said? What does that add up to? 3/4, 1/4.
A whole?
Exactly. So where's oxygen, carbon, where's everything else? Everything that's inside of you and me.
Right.
We are all of life is the sub 1% dregs of the universe. We're not even important enough to come up on the cosmic pie chart. And so what I'm saying is there's still so much more to learn and so much more to discover.
Right.
But earlier, so when I get mad when I'm like, oh, somebody says we don't understand this 4.6, we understand the 4.6% very well. The thing is we don't need to keep overturning what we already know. We need to look to new frontiers. We have new frontiers of things we know nothing about. We've been studying the cosmic microwave background for decades. We've been studying galaxies for decades. We have no idea what dark energy is or dark matter is. Well, some theoretical physicists say they have some ideas. Nobody knows for sure. We understand a tiny sliver of the universe.
Right. So how did you get into this whole UFO thing?
Oh, my friend Kevin, whom you had on an earlier episode. Oh,
Kevin
yes.
Knuth.
He convinced me that there's real shit going down. And he's the one who got me into it. Yeah.
How did you meet him and how did he convince you?
Oh, he's in the same department as me.
Oh,
His
okay.
department. So I've known him since I was there in 2000. I've been at the Department of Physics since 2014.
Okay.
So I've known him from when I first joined at University of Albany in New York. Okay. Yeah, Kevin's the one who's like, and I'll be honest with you, at first, again, because of the stigma, the brainwashing, right? I was like, Kevin, he's crazy, you know, whatever, UFOs. But then the 2017 New York Times article came out by Leslie Kane and Helen Cooper and Ralph Blumenthal. And I was like, and then Lou Elizondo's on TV. And I'm like, holy shit, this stuff's real. And so that really helped push me over the edge to join forces with Kevin and start researching UFOs. You know, from childhood, I was always interested. I mean, who isn't? I watched Unsolved Mysteries with Robert Stack. I saw like the Cash Landrum incident, the Rendlesham Forest incident. That stuff scared the hell out of me as a little kid. And so the seeds were already planted there for me to be interested in UFOs. But then the seeds blossomed thanks to Leslie Kane's reporting and thanks to Kevin.
So how are you applying your understanding of physics and the work you do into this stuff?
So basically, I'm bringing some of a particle physics perspective. So a lot of people use cameras, obviously, to look for UFOs. I mean, cameras, right?
Right.
But I'm bringing more to the table because this ties into the earlier discussion about my work on dark matter. One of my expertises is particle detection. I'm a particle physicist. There are all these stories, these claims of people who've been hurt physically by UAP.
Radiation.
Ionizing radiation, exactly. There's I'm sure, conspiracy guy like you know all these stories, I'm sure, right? Falcon Lake incident, Rendlesham Forest, Cash Landrum. They sued the government.
I don't even know what that one is.
So Cash Landrum, so it was 1980, I think, or 79, December in Texas. There was a family that saw a diamond-shaped craft. They ended up getting skin burns.
Oh, okay.
It was like a sunburn. They got cancer.
Right.
And so they sued the government. So there's evidence of ionizing radiation.
Right. And this stuff goes back, right?
Yeah.
There's like stories from antiquity of people, and they think it was like religious related stuff where people were getting burned. I think St. Francis of Assisi was one of them.
Well, UFOs in general, they didn't just magically start in 47. It goes back hundreds, if not thousands of years. Yeah, absolutely. Some people think a lot of the ancient alien guys. Oh, I'm friends with all the ancient aliens guys, like Travis Taylor and like So I went. I went backstage actually at the Ancient Aliens live show. You should have seen the dirty looks my wife and I got from all the super fans when security was escorting me and my wife backstage because I know Travis Taylor. He's on also Skinwalker Ranch. And these. Oh man, where was I going with the ancient aliens? Oh, yes. One hypothesis is that a lot of religious experiences were actually extraterrestrial, some other form of non-human intelligence.
I think that one makes a lot of sense.
I really think we can't discount that. It sounds crazy, but to me, that's something you could prove or disprove. That's reasonable. It's wild. And when I say that, my reputation, when people watch the show now, my reputation goes down. But like I said
especially when
earlier,
you look at like James Fox's latest documentary where he goes to Brazil and he interviewed like dozens and dozens of witnesses of this being that they explained having cloven feet and smelling like sulfur, which is exactly how demons are.
I've only seen clips. I have not seen the whole thing yet, unfortunately. But do we laugh at those people and say they're making stuff up? I'm inclined to think they might be describing a real physical experience.
Yeah.
I think that's reasonable.
That Varginha one, I've never heard of a case, whether it be a UFO or anything, but this one's a being. Of more corroborating witnesses.
Yeah.
That's the most in any story I've ever heard in this topic.
It's amazing, but where we were going with this is what I bring to the table with UFO. So UFO, UAP, whatever you call them, I think we can agree it's an interdisciplinary problem. You're not going to solve the mystery with just one group of scientists. You need physicists, chemists, biologists, engineers. You need a multidisciplinary approach. And what I bring to the table is my knowledge of particle and nuclear physics. Because if UFOs are producing radiation, do you know how hard that would be to hoax? You can hoax a video. Right. How are you going to hoax ionizing radiation from controlled substances, right? You know, like from like uranium, plutonium, californium, things like that.
Right.
So
how many people have been affected by or injured by this radiation?
Oh, nobody knows. It depends on who you ask, right?
How many people have been cataloged, or how many people do you know of?
I know of a small number, but I've only been looking at UAP for a while, so I know of only the 3 incidents I mentioned earlier, but there are more. If you talk to Gary Nolan, for example, I'm sure he can list way more. Right. Remember, I'm still young. I haven't been doing this for decades, you know, like Kevin, Gary. So I still don't know. I wouldn't know off the top of my head how large the number is. I'm only aware of 3 cases, but one of them, the Rendlesham Forest case, John Burroughs, a U.S. veteran, got disability for getting hurt by a UFO. That's like Senator John McCain had to help him out. Did you know this story?
I don't think so.
So what happened was his medical records were classified. He couldn't see his own medical records.
Wow.
How messed up is that?
That's crazy, man.
And so to me, that inspired me that, like, you know what? I can bring my expertise on radiation detection into the field of UFO studies.
Wow.
So that's my angle. Obviously, I'm still using cameras with Kevin and everything else, but that's my personal angle of what I added. That's the extra that I added to the field.
So of the 3 people that you're aware of, what have you found with them?
Well, all we have is, unfortunately, you know, like a couple old grainy photographs, if that, or just written eyewitness accounts.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, no. So I don't personally have any connections. Gary does at Stanford. Dr. Nolan does. But, you know, I'm not saying I have any personal connection, but rather I've studied their accounts, like on the web and TV.
Right.
And to me, I'm not claiming I believe them all immediately, but to me, the approach I take is, what if they're right? What if there's radiation we can detect? Then we should be bringing radiation detectors, not just cameras, to our UFO parties. And that's the angle that I've brought to UAP studies and ufology. I'm not saying I brought it completely by myself. People have been using Geiger counters with UFOs. So I'm not saying I'm first or anything like that. I'm saying, but that's the angle that I bring into the teams that I work on for looking for UFO evidence. To answer your original question about what did I bring.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you wanted to use radiation detection, how would you go about doing that? Like, was there specific places you would do this, or like how does that work out?
Well, it's challenging because, you know, a lot of encounters are like, bam, it's over, right?
Yeah.
And so the philosophy of the team that I work on, which is a UAPX, you know, we published a paper only a couple months ago from our expedition to Catalina, which was in the movie A Tear in the Sky by Carolyn Corey. If you haven't seen the movie, you should. So Kevin and I are in that.
I tried to watch it
last
night, but it was like trying to make me jump through all these hoops and like get some subscription to some crazy service or something like that. I couldn't fucking figure it out.
Dang. Okay. Well, that's because the movie's several years old now. It was easier when it first came out. But basically, to answer your question, we need to go to alleged UFO hotspots. That's the solution. Is you go to places where people claim to see these things.
Go to nuclear bases.
Well, that's hard to do, right? To get permission. No, but you're right. You're absolutely right. But we can't do that. But we can go to, like, for example, Catalina area. Places
they wouldn't
like
let you go there? They wouldn't let you go there and install some like detection equipment or anything?
No way. Huh. No way. If I was at an important university, sure. So I'm sure Avi's going to try that for Galileo project with Harvard. I'm sure he's going to try that. But I'm at a lowly university. It's not an Ivy League. I don't have the clout to tell the U.S. government, hey, can I install some UFO sensors on your nuke silo? That's not happening. Believe me, Kevin and I would be thrilled. Believe me. We know all about Salas, Robert Hastings. We know all about the story of yeah, absolutely. No, I'm saying something that's a little bit more achievable, easier, which is go to other non-nuclear, hotspots.
Yeah.
And so the idea here is you go to hotspots and you set up permanent or semi-permanent stations, because you're not going to catch fleeting encounters, right? And so what you need to do is identify hotspots, taking into account things like population density, obviously, and things like that. And so, but yeah, for the radiation detection, yeah, we're looking for anything above normal background radiation, because there's radiation all around us all the time now. Right now, there's cosmic radiation coursing through our bodies right now, not just dark matter, neutrinos, cosmic ray protons, all kinds of stuff going through, and we're fine. It's a small amount. And so we're looking not for something above zero. That's ridiculous. There's always a little bit of radiation everywhere. It's in your sweat. It's in a banana. It's in a Brazil nut. It's everywhere. However, what we're looking for is a statistically significant increase in radiation, either in energy or in count rate, that is correlated with a visual sighting in the camera systems. So that is our angle, like a multimodal study, just like Galileo Project is doing.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with Galileo Project. What specifically are they doing?
So Galileo Project is led by Professor Avi Loeb of Harvard, and they want to set up also equipment at UAP hotspots and look for UAP. But it's kind of it's got other facets as well. Recently, Avi tried to get and he believes he succeeded. Got pieces of an interstellar meteorite from the bottom of the Pacific that some people thought was maybe an alien ship that crash landed, not actually a meteor. So Galileo Project is doing a lot of stuff as well at Harvard. Yeah. Well, it's not just Harvard. They also have other institutions like
we know that those things have, throughout history just been all around nuclear bases. And there's also, Navy pilots from submarines talking about, weird things happening around nuclear submarines.
USOs.
Like
yeah. And they can turn they can turn missiles on. They can turn them off.
Yeah.
The story of World War III almost started because the UFO started up a countdown on Russian missile. Yeah. And of course, Wall Street Journal had some bogus article how that's fake. And oh my God, it
was some elaborate hazing experiment.
Oh, give me a break. You don't haze people on something that can cause the end of the world. Give me a break. So you asked me earlier, what got me into UFOs? I forgot to tell you my snarky answer to that is at some point, the debunker explanations got dumber than just admitting, okay, it's probably alien.
Totally.
At some point, I've had enough of Mick West's seagulls and Chinese lanterns and give me a break. Okay. At some point, I was like, there are so many encounters, so many stories and events now where the simplest explanation is there was some advanced non-human craft. They're that's the simplest explanation.
Yeah, I think some of those videos, though, that came out around 2014, I think it was 2017, when the New York Times, like the Go Fast video, I think those things can be explained away pretty easily. Like the one with the, it looks like this thing flying above the water.
Yeah.
What people don't realize is the plane is flying in one direction. There's water in the background, and then there's something that's flying the opposite direction above the water. So it's like this parallax effect.
Yes.
So that could very easily be a bird flying the opposite direction.
That's right, but that can't explain the Tic Tac
No,
encounter.
that cannot explain. But we haven't. We don't have. The problem is we don't have video of the Tic Tac. We only have Fravor's.
No, we do have video, but we only have a little bit. We have the little bit of the gun cam or the app
It's
flare
public.
footage. Yeah,
The Tic Tac.
Yeah, it's one of the 3 videos. You can even see the little legs under the Tic Tac.
I'm talking about the gimbal one.
No. I'm talking about the 3rd video. There's 3.
Oh, okay.
There's gimbal, there's Go Fast, and then there's an actual Tic Tac video. It's a Tic Tac with 2 little legs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No. And so we have that, and there's no explanation for that.
But there's got to be so much more. There's got to be so much more.
Oh, of course, we're not going to see that.
They're just not going to release
ever.
Of
course not.
There's a whole fleet
for so many different reasons. Yeah, that one's crazy. What the fuck is that? and then it starts rotating.
So that's the gimbal. Yeah, the gimbal is also hard to explain. And then there's a third video. There were 3 videos that came out in 17.
Yep.
They often get mixed up. Some of them are West Coast, some of them are East Coast, some of them Roosevelt Nimitz. They get mixed up all the time. But yeah, the Tic Tac video was analyzed by my friend Kevin. He published a paper. This is the one where, I'll give Mick West this one.
Yeah,
I'll give him this one.
Yeah.
But the Tic Tac cannot be explained that easily. Recently, actually, there was a YouTube video by a Professor Simon who was like, oh, Tic Tac, that was the Lockheed Martin device. I'm like, really?
Well, what's his name came out and said it's undeniably 100% Lockheed Martin technology.
Yeah, Ross Coulthart said
Ross
that.
Coulthart said that, yeah.
Yeah, and that interesting. So they didn't read Kevin's paper that shows it had accelerations beyond human capability. I mean, like, there are published papers by me, by my friend Kevin, showing that's not possible. And everyone conveniently pretends they don't exist.
Why couldn't it be possible that there couldn't have been some, if there's some sort of physics that was went dark in the 50s and they've been working on it ever since, and they've been developing it, and when they wanted to test it against like our Navy fighters, wouldn't that, even if there wasn't humans in there, that wouldn't be like liquefied moving around? Isn't it? Great question.
You got to read Kevin's paper. It's because even if it was unmanned, at the accelerations that Kevin has calculated, there doesn't exist a material that could withstand that. It would just be crushed. Like, and I know what you're going to say. Oh, some breakaway civilization. No, you don't understand. There's literally against the laws of all physics.
But what if the material isn't actually going against air like that?
Yeah.
What if it's like
what
creating a cavity, a cavitational type
Doesn't
thing?
Doesn't matter. These are simple, basic laws of physics we've known for centuries. This is one of the points of Kevin's paper, is the accelerations are not possible. They would destroy any material. I don't care if it's in air. I don't care if it's in vacuum. And conveniently, everyone who spouts off, they think they have figured out the Tic Tac, they all pretend that Kevin's work and my work doesn't exist. They don't read it. They don't. In fact, did you know I have proof that Sean Kirkpatrick lied under oath and nobody's listening to me? No news media outlet would carry this story for me. I said I can prove it. Nobody listened to me.
How do you prove it?
So here's what happened. What happened was, this might be the first time I'm saying it on a podcast, but I don't care. I'll get in trouble, but whatever. I'm just sick and tired of all the lies and the obfuscation. During one of the hearings, former head of Aero, Sean Kirkpatrick, said to Senator Gillibrand, to her face, under oath, it was one of those mini hearings. There was like almost nobody there. It wasn't the full Congress, I think. It was just Sean Kirkpatrick, Senator Gillibrand, and a few people. Okay, it was like a subcommittee meeting of some kind. He said, I'm going to paraphrase, but I wrote down the exact quote, of course. He said something like, there are no published scientific papers claiming that the Tic Tac encounter might have been aliens. And then he sneers. He laughs like, and if you think otherwise, you're welcome to publish. We already published a paper. Kevin did. So can we go back to knuthlab.org and I'll show you the paper? This is many years old already now.
Okay.
It's a paper published, estimating the flight characteristics of anomalous.
Maybe he just wasn't aware of it.
I know you're going to say that. But guess so then he's ignorant and he's not good at his job.
Sure.
He's the head of Aero. But what if I told you that's not the case? Because I told him about it. So Kevin and I, UAPX, we were told not to talk about it, but you know what? Screw them. I'm so sick of these people. We actually talked to Aero. We had a Google Meet or Microsoft Teams or whatever, Zoom or whatever the hell software. We met with them. We actually talked to them, and we actually brought up Kevin's paper, and it's like, look, it turns out in the Nimitz encounter, these accelerations, if you apply them to interstellar craft, these would be good interstellar craft. You could cross the galaxy in a few months. And we told Sean Kirkpatrick. I heard his voice. He asked me a question. I know Sean Kirkpatrick was on the call.
Wow.
And so you're not going to tell me he didn't know. So either he didn't know, in which case he's ignorant of facts that he needs for his job. Fortunately, he's not head anymore, of Aero. Number 2, okay, then, or he's lying, or he forgot, conveniently, okay? So you're right, I can't prove he's lying, but he's either lying, ignorant, or forgetful. Which of those is the better option? All of those options are bad. But anyway, he's aware of this paper. Could you go back to, could you please click on, a UAP library again, like last time. So Sean Kirkpatrick knew about this paper because we told him about it. We're like, oh, and Kevin has written this great paper. In this paper, which Ross Colhart has conveniently forgotten exists, because he knows about it too, because I've talked to Ross, Kevin's talked to him. In it, Kevin and his friends, Robert and Peter from the Scientific Coalition for UAP Studies, SCU, they show that the Nimitz encounter demonstrates velocities, accelerations beyond human capabilities. And Mick West poo-poos this. He says it's BS, it's a jet or a seagull or whatever, the usual. This is a scientific paper.
Wow.
It passed peer review. But then you know what the critics say? Oh, it doesn't count. You know why it doesn't count? Oh, Kevin's the editor of the journal. He's not the only editor. He recused himself. And that's what they always say. My crash paper, that doesn't count. That's in Limina. It's a UFO journal. You know, it's the one paper they can't say doesn't count. Kevin's history of UFO studies is in Progress in Aerospace Sciences. That's a major journal. And my paper on the UAPX results is also Progress Aerospace Sciences. But yeah, basically skeptics always find a way to pretend that this doesn't count, that these facts, these numbers, these results are wrong or they don't count.
Right.
But what's really incredible to me is like the past week, I hear all this nonsense that the Tic Tac was Lockheed Martin. People, why are they not reading the facts? Like Kevin did a study, SCU did a study of this, and it shows that this is incredible. Let's now take the perspective of I'm very skeptical, but let's take your perspective. Let's say, it's not alien, some super advanced tech. Then I got some questions. Okay. Number one, why isn't David Fravor, Top Gun Academy pilot, why isn't he flying it? Why are we still wasting time with F-16s if we have this?
Because it has to be kept secret,
Why?
super classified.
But why don't we then? Okay, I have another answer for that. Then I've had this same conversation multiple times. Why did we lose Afghanistan? Why has America lost every single war it's been in since World War II? If we had this, we should be flying this shit around. We should be going to Ukraine, bailing out Ukraine.
It's not worth deploying in those types of things. We don't give a fuck about the people in Ukraine or Afghanistan. All those wars are just about money and extracting oil.
That's a fair point.
So I don't think that they would plan on.
But that makes me angry. Makes me angry.
Yeah.
Because if we have this technology, I want America to use it to win every war. We're like, what the hell?
Yeah.
So it makes me mad. As a taxpayer, if I paid for that shit, it needs to be used, not just hidden away.
Yeah, no, I think possibly one of the reasons for the information coming out about this stuff and this becoming more public in the media could be some sort of a deterrence, some sort of a subliminal message to other countries who probably are working on very similar things.
Oh yeah,
to let them know that we have it in the case that there ever is some sort of an existential crisis that would bring a war to American soil.
I have an answer to that. We don't need it. Why would we need Tic Tac? We have nukes already. We already have the best thing that could annihilate cities in seconds. I don't understand what the point is.
Yeah, nukes. The problem with nukes is that everybody has nukes, and as soon as a nuke gets launched, it's likely just going to be Armageddon. And I think everybody knows that. I know,
but then it's the same thing with the Tic Tac technology, because you can use that to drop a nuke.
Yeah, but if you have the Tic Tac technology, who knows what that could be used for? I don't know how it can be used for weapons, but I think that, again, this is all conjecture. I don't know what possible weapon systems could be deployed using these things, but the fact is it's super advanced tech and it's scary. And to let people, people can use their imaginations. If you have these things that can travel from one point to another in an instant, what type of weapons do you actually have? And, we have deterrence with nukes. I mean, we not only do we have, not only is every, there's 9 nations that are armed with nukes, and we have, systems like the Star Wars things and like these laser things and on satellites that
didn't you have Annie Jacobson on the show?
Yeah. And that could potentially take out nuclear warheads when they enter the atmosphere. I'm terrified at the idea of nuclear war, but I think that there's there's other things that we're developing that we don't know about that we'll probably maybe learn about in the next 20 years. And DARPA's been historically working on things that never come out into the public for at least 20 to 30 years. For example, like Neuralink. They've been working on brain chips for soldiers since the early 90s.
All that's going to collapse now. Because Doge has cut everything, basically. So no, I'm dead serious. Funding is being cut left and right.
Doge is taking funding out of things like IRS, HHS, so
and my dark matter originally, but they restored it.
Elon was behind Doge, but Elon gets all his money from the Pentagon, where there is a $21 trillion black hole.
Oh yeah,
that's been going to things. So I don't think he's attacking the Pentagon. The Pentagon just got his budget increased to $1 trillion.
Oh, I know. I was kidding. I was just kidding.
Right.
But my point earlier was that the thing is, you can't keep secrets forever because scientists are clever, curious people. Things get accidentally rediscovered. It happens all the time.
So do you think the Bob Lazar story is bullshit?
Complete.
Really?
Complete bullshit. And I hate to say it because I want it to be true, but everything that comes out of his mouth is so wrong. It's against science. Like, we discovered element 115 already. It has none of the properties he claims. And I feel like, so I've talked to people I know, like Eric Davis, Hal Puthoff, that I trust, and and I've talked to people like that who said they've got a hypothesis. They think that Bob Lazar's purpose is disinformation, to say stuff that's so wrong that any scientist with half a brain cell knows immediately it's nonsense. Any physicist can listen to Bob Lazar and be like, yeah, he's not a real physicist, he's talking nonsense. And so everything he says is so wrong on so many levels. I could spend 3 hours on just Bob Lazar and debunking everything he said. Like, don't get me wrong, I wish he was real. I wish it was true. But he doesn't even get basic nuclear physics right. And come on, he never went to MIT. They erase the memories of all the professors.
Well,
it makes no sense.
There's a very reasonable explanation for that, for his records being erased. If he was
his records could be erased, but you can't erase the memory. The professor would be like, "Oh yeah, I had Bob in my class."
No, he wouldn't be in a public class. That's the point. If he was, there's lots of evidence of people going to MIT to work on military shit and weapon systems that were under the sanction of the Pentagon and that were kept secret. I know, and had all the stuff expunged.
But if they open their mouth, they talk correct physics. So, for example, Eric Davis, he opens his mouth and correct physics comes out. Hal Puthoff opens his mouth. Correct things come out of his mouth. Bob Lazar opens his mouth.
Specifically, did he say, even if it was nonsense, he doesn't have to be like a PhD physicist to be useful to some of those programs.
Oh yeah. So I think there's a grain of truth in what Bob Lazar says, but I think he misheard some things, and he's saying some things wrong.
Maybe
that's what I think is happening. But you can't take everything he says as scientifically accurate because it doesn't work.
I don't think the idea is saying that he says a lot of bullshit or says a lot of wrong things about physics.
Yes,
I don't think that's a strong argument to him saying that his story's full of shit. I think it's totally
I'm saying
plausible.
There's a grain of truth in there.
Right,
is what I'm saying. What I was saying was the physics is full of shit that he says. There could be a grain of truth. No, not maybe. For sure, his physics is wrong.
Even if it is, if what you're saying is correct, I think it's still totally plausible that some secret black program would want to get a guy like him in there to throw shit at the wall to see if maybe he can tinker around and figure something out that they haven't been able to figure out in 50 years.
That's true. That's possible. But but this is the problem. This is why we're not making progress.
Sure, because it's all secret. It's all compartmentalized. It's stovepipes.
Exactly. Stovepipe compartment. If we really want to make progress, we would hire people like my friend Kevin. We'd hire smart, good scientists. We'd have Eric Davis. We'd have Hal Puthoff, who were not really part of the legacy program. They're on the outside. We would have smart people. We would have hundreds of people, like the Manhattan Project. We're not making progress. If there is a crash retrieval reverse engineering program, we're not going to make progress because there's too much stovepiping. There's too much compartmentalization.
Yeah, I agree with you.
But honestly, look, one part of me thinks that if Bob Lazar was totally on the up and up, he'd already be dead in the desert, like by quote unquote suicide.
He doxed himself. He came out and with that stuff with George Knapp in the early 90s, late 80s. That's what I think that's what he was doing. Probably trying to protect himself and get his stuff out there. And that's also, his background is a very discreditable background. Like the stuff that he was doing, running the brothels and all the crazy stuff he was doing. Well,
some of that could be made up to suppress him. Some conspiracy people think that.
It doesn't have to. I think a lot of it's very well. You can look up the court documents from his divorce to show that he was actually running these brothels.
But 115 exists already. We found it has none of the properties he claims. There's no stable isotopes of it. And he claims he has a little bit of it left that he's keeping at home. Good. Send some to me. I can prove it's 115 in 20 seconds. That's not exaggeration, by the way. So
But the problem with this stuff is you have people around him and around people like him that are just incentivized to use him as a mascot to make money and to make documentaries about him.
Exactly. Look.
And to just further their own careers. And that's my thing about this whole topic is that it's just fucked from the beginning because you have the internet and you have people trying to make careers off of it.
Yes,
And
exactly.
That muddies the waters even more.
I don't want to make any money. You know what the only money I want to make off UFOs is? The only money I want to make is to turn into equipment for research and a little bit of salary to survive. I don't want to become rich and famous. I just want enough to do my work with my friends like Kevin at UAlbany. But your point is very, very well taken. And remember what I said earlier. It's like the Fox Mulder poster, right? What does Fox Mulder's poster say, The X-Files? I want to believe, right?
Yeah.
I want to believe Bob Lazar's story, but the holes in it are so gigantic to me. Actually, this is why I'm never going to be invited back to Phenomicon.
Phenomicon?
You know about Phenomicon, right? No? It's in Utah. It's the like UFO Bigfoot. It's right next to Skinwalker Ranch.
It's a UFO Bigfoot convention?
And it's like all about Skinwalker Ranch as
Oh,
well.
that's amazing.
Kevin and I pissed off the entire crowd because someone during Q&A asked about Bob Lazar in 115, and then we went on and on how Bob Lazar was wrong, he's full of shit, and it's impossible, and blah, blah, blah. Oh, we ticked off everybody.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I want to know the truth. I'm not going to believe some person who claims to be a whistleblower. That's why, for example, when Grush came out, I tested his claims. I wrote that paper earlier. Remember, I said, if Grush's claim of the crash rate is correct, I was going to see, okay, why don't we have evidence yet? I crunched the statistics, and I discovered, Grush's claims are plausible. Doesn't prove they're right, but they're plausible. But right out of the gate, all of Lazar's claims are not plausible within physics and engineering. And I know people, I've talked to people who are allegedly connected with the legacy. I have several people tell me, oh yeah, Bob Lazar is just disinformation agent to just say things that are so wrong so that physicists like me and Kevin, but other than us, other physicists, they watch Bob Lazar and they're not interested in jumping into UFO studies because they're like, that's so dumb and wrong that I'm not interested in participating. It's kind of like if you take anything that's fringe, considered pseudoscience, and you crank something up to 11, you're going to scare off well-meaning people who want to come in. And CIA is master at this, by the way. And you want to scare off. So I often worry that Lazar might be some sort, people worry about the same thing about Lou Elizondo. It might be some sort of misinformation, disinformation campaign. The thing is, you can't believe anyone or anything, and that's what's so scary and it makes it so hard. But look, I hope I'm wrong. I really hope Bob Lazar is telling the truth, because to me, that means humanity has a future. Because if somebody else can figure out interstellar travel, we can figure it out. That means there's a hopeful future. And so I want to be wrong about Bob, and I'd be happy to sit down with him privately and be like, hey, I'm sorry I said you were full of shit on the podcast. Please prove to me I'm wrong. Show me the facts. Prove to me. Talk to me as a scientist, right? He says he has a degree in science. Prove to me that I was wrong about you. And I'm open about it. I'm open-minded. But the thing is, I'm going to call a spade a spade. And when I see massive amounts of evidence, problematic evidence stacking up that somebody is not telling the truth, I'm deeply concerned, especially when it comes to this UAP sphere of things.
Right.
But there was some podcast I was watching where I think Commander Fravor said, if I'm not mistaken, it was friends with Bob Lazar. They have barbecues together. And I was starting to then I'm like, oh,
Fravor was saying that he was doing this.
Yeah. I think he was on Lex Friedman's podcast or another one. And I was like,
he said it seems like an interesting guy to be around.
Yeah, so I'm like, so I was starting to feel bad. And I'm like, oh, maybe he's not full of shit. So, like I said, I hope I'm wrong. But the problem is I know too much physics, and what he says is just so wrong.
I've gone back and forth on him. I believed him in the beginning, and then I stopped believing him for a while, and then I'm back on the Bob Lazar train now. I think I'm
on the Eric Davis train. Okay. Actually, recently Eric Davis joined the physics faculty as an adjunct faculty at UAlbany. That was a big deal. That's a big deal. So nobody knows that because I'm not on Twitter. So as soon as somebody hears that, if they hear this on this podcast, UFO Twitter is going to lose its shit over this news. No one's heard this. There was no press release. We didn't trumpet it. But yeah, Eric Davis is working. This iPhone, you agree, would never be reverse engineered, even if you took the 100 smartest human beings on Earth. They would all die of old age, having figured out nothing.
Right.
And you're going to tell me now, and this is what Bob Lazar claims, you're going to tell me that human beings can figure something out that's millions, potentially millions, billions of years more advanced than us? No.
Yeah.
And that's why Eric's answer always stuck with me. And by the way, Hal Puthoff gives the same answer. I asked him separately. He gives the same answer. We don't have a fucking clue. So you know what Hal said to Kevin once? He said, Kevin, we wouldn't know the difference between their navigational computer and a sandwich.
Well, Bob says that inside that craft there was no instruments. There was nothing.
So how do we make progress? Exactly. But the problem is that there are not enough people working on it, number one. It's too classified and stovepiped. And number two, the other problem is it's too far ahead. And so we don't know. We don't know where to start.
Right.
Exactly. I'm going to claim something very bold. I'm one of the only people who's actually figured out what at least one alleged UFO crash part is for. So recently, I've actually, with my help of my friends Mark, who came up earlier, remember we played the YouTube video from him with the spinning. Thanks to my friends Mark and Jarrett, they're, aerospace guys who are doing anti-gravity research. They're the real guys who are actually trying to make anti-gravity reality. Nobody's, no Men in Black have killed them yet. You ask them, they're like, oh, it's a good day today, right? Because Men in Black haven't killed me yet today. But basically, thanks to them, I got a piece. It's known as the art part. Art Bell, Coast to Coast AM, Linda Moulton Howe also had this. So I got a fragment that's allegedly from New Mexico from 1947. And I've been doing material analysis on it. And I'm going to publish a paper on it, hopefully by the end of this year or next year. Then I'm going to print out that paper. And I want to shove it up the ass or down the throat of every single skeptic and debunker, because we found that material is anomalous and discovered that the Arrow report on this material was a lie. It was a whitewash. Wow. They didn't list half of the elements in it. They didn't list any of the interesting isotopic configurations. Nothing. Gary Nolan knows this. A few people know this who have pieces of the mother sample. There was a big sample. I only got a fragment of it. Right. And I developed a whole new technique. I developed a new way of testing what something is made of faster and cheaper.
You did?
Yes, I did, than existing techniques. Yes. And so I'm hoping that people start sending me like actual parts. I can determine whether something is terrestrial or extraterrestrial.
How?
By the isotopic ratio.
Okay.
So everything is made of elements, and each of those elements has isotopes, but the isotopic ratios are unique to different planets, different parts of the galaxy. Still doesn't conclusively prove something's extraterrestrial, because a skeptic could always say, oh, it was part of a nuclear test and it changed the isotopic composition. Sure.
Right.
But what I can demonstrate is whether something is weird. I know that's very vague, but I can demonstrate whether something's weird, whether it's anomalous, or whether it's boring. Right. Like, oh, this is just a hunk of aluminum.
That reminds me, are you familiar with there was some sort of material with a certain configuration of isotopes that was found in in the middle of nuclear blasts that they found that matched the exact type of material they found on Mars? Have you ever heard of this?
I have not heard of this. Oh, so maybe we created it by accident.
Giorgiani was remember this, Steve, when Giorgiani was talking about this?
Oh, are you talking about the possibility there was like a nuclear war back in the day on Mars?
This was his theory, but the hard evidence that he explained to back this up was that there was some sort of material with isotopes that were found on in nuclear blast sites.
Yes. I definitely heard of this.
That matched specific isotopes they configure
You're talking about the
Mars.
I know who you're talking about because he's one of the co-stars on a show I'm on, actually. The proof is out there on the History Channel.
Okay.
And he's the Mars guy. I know who you're talking about, the guy who thinks that there was a civilization on Mars.
John Brandenburg theory
Brandenburg.
suggests that the red color of Mars could be evidence of catastrophic. But what's
Xenon 129.
Xenon
That- yeah,
129. That's what it is.
Funny coincidence. Remember, I use xenon to look for dark matter, right?
Right.
So that's just a coincidence.
Right. So what does it say? So Giordani claims that
Cydonia. Yes. So I don't think it's Brandenburg, but one of his associates, something. There's a guy who's head of the Cydonia Society, who's a co-star on The Proof Is Out There with me.
Oh, so this is what the theory. So
Yeah.
so Xenon 129 is consistent across the entire solar system except for on Mars.
Yes, so that we're talking about isotopic ratios. Yes, this is exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Is that there are unique signatures in different locations. Yeah, Mars is a problem, but exactly. But my point is that I want to look at the isotopic ratios. I'm using a non-destructive technique to determine the composition of a material. I'll tell you though, so far, I've only gotten one potentially anomalous thing. Most of the things is UFO, crazy people send me, it's a meteorite,
Sure.
or it's a piece of an airplane. So most of the time, unfortunately, it's boring. But finally, thanks to knowing the right people and being patient, I finally got a piece of something that's really interesting. And and let's see how silent the mainstream media is going to be on this. I'm going to publish later this year definitive evidence that the government lied about this material and published a whitewash report claiming it was not anomalous when they knew better. And I have definitive proof that it's anomalous, that it's strange. I don't have proof it's extraterrestrial, to be clear. Not yet. But it's weird. And they claim it's not weird. Oh, it's a boring piece of whatever. Slag. It's like, no, it's not.
When is this coming out?
I'm hoping by the end of the year.
End of the year.
Because here's the thing. I don't want to get gate kept past that. I want to get all my ducks in a row. I want to double check it. I want to triple check it. I want to quadruple check it before I submit it for scientific peer review. Because what I don't want to happen is I want it to be perfect. I want it to be an airtight case. So like I said, I can publish the paper in a major scientific journal and then shove it in the face of people who have been poo-pooing UFOs for years. I'm sick and tired of them. I'm sick and tired of Neil deGrasse Tyson going out there saying, oh, it's all nonsense. Oh, aliens, oh, blah, blah, blah. What if they invite... You know what I'm tempted to do? I could totally pull this off to get his attention. It's very hard to get his attention because I'm not important. I'm at an unimportant university. I'm not trying to be rich and famous. I'm not at Harvard. I'm not at Stanford. Just to get under his skin. What I'm hoping to be able to do, so I've actually been working with Neil deGrasse Tyson's high school, where he graduated, because I've been reviewing their physics courses, because I'm part of the UAlbany in the high school program, the University and High School program, where they're doing college course at university level. One of them is Neil deGrasse Tyson's alma mater, the high school he graduated from. So here's what I'm thinking. I was going to go to the principal. I'm still thinking of doing this. I might seriously do this. Be like, hey, can I give a talk on UFOs? And do this at Neil deGrasse Tyson's high school that he went to school at, get it in the newspaper, get it all over mainstream media, to the point where he's like, who's this Matthew guy? Where he's finally forced to pay attention.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's my goal, just to get under his skin, because I'm sick and tired of him claiming there's no physical evidence. Well, then what the fuck am I testing in my lab? That's not an eyewitness account. It's not a video. I have a piece of material that is not easy to explain. That's physical evidence, okay? So I'm sick and tired of people like Neil deGrasse Tyson saying there's no physical evidence. Yes, there is. There's Delphos, Kansas. There's all these alleged UFO crashes and landings where there is physical evidence that's been subjected to chemical testing. And there are evidence of anomalies. Just talk to Gary Nolan. Talk to Jacques Vallée. There is physical evidence from some cases. But if you close your eyes and you stuff your fingers in your ears like all the dogmatic people do and play la 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 la, I'm not listening, then you're not going to see any of the evidence. You're not going to see Kevin's paper that we talked about earlier that shows the Tic Tac could have crossed the galaxy in 6 months, and nobody cares. Nobody reads the paper. Nobody understands. It's insane.
Well, listen, man, I hope you continue to do this and bring this energy to this topic and do all these things to get this stuff out, because I think we could use more people like you out there trying to put this shit out in the public and point out all the craziness.
I'm open source. No NDAs, no classification. I'm going to be discovering stuff, and what am I going to do? I'm going to publish it so you can read it.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Dude. I love it, dude. Matthew, thank you so much for your time. I wish did 3 hours. Tell people where they can find you online, find your website, your papers, all this stuff.
Well, it's funny because I'm not on social media, like I said earlier.
Where can they find your Facebook?
But there's a very easy way to find everything I've ever published. And the reason is almost nobody on this planet has the same last name as me. Less than 100 people, I would estimate. And so the easiest way to find everything I've written without a paywall is to go to archive.org, arxiv.org, and you just type in my last name, Szydagis, Szydagis. You'll find everything I've ever written. Like my mainstream stuff, of course, too.
Fantastic.
Dark matter. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, there it is. Now, archive is a beautiful thing. It was created by Cornell University. It's a way of trying to get around the gatekeeping at a lot of journals. You throw up your paper here before it's gone through peer review.
Right.
Unfortunately, archive does have a dark side as well. They, in recent years, have started to do some of their own gatekeeping. And so I know people who have gotten their papers rejected from archive when it's like, how can it be rejected? It's not supposed to be peer reviewed yet. So archive has positive and negative side.
Doing like a Wikipedia type deal, huh?
Yes, exactly. Yes. You know what recently happened to the Debrief? They kicked them off of Wikipedia.
No, I didn't know
they're
that.
a tabloid. I'm friends with the Debrief guy, Micah Hanks. You know Micah?
Really? No,
Yeah.
I don't.
So,
I know Bill Clinton got all his stuff about Epstein removed from his Wikipedia recently.
Convenient, right? Yeah. So archive is doing some gatekeeping, but I have been blessed that they haven't rejected any of my stuff, including my crazy UFO stuff. Everything I've ever written, you can find right there.
Fantastic. Well, hopefully we keep it that way.
Yeah.
And thanks again for your time, man. I really appreciate coming down here and talking to us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right. Good night, everyone.